he's got supporters. Detroit, New York, Los Angeles, inciting large-scale arrests and sympathy marches.
I'm very aware of that, Mr.
Hoover.
What I do know is he's nonviolent. What I need to know right now, what's Martin Luther King about to do next?
Mr. President, Dr. King is here.
So, David, you play Martin Luther King in Selma. And he's obviously an icon who's revered and loved by millions of people around the world. And I wondered what your process was in terms of getting behind the iconography and revealing the man underneath.
Talking to a lot of people who actually knew him, because I think we all have our perception of who he is and who he was and what he represents. And a lot of those things are true, but they are not a reflection necessarily of who he was personally. And we wanted to, of course, show the orator, show the civil rights leader, but also the father, the friend, the human being who wasn't always sure, who had weaknesses. That, to me, is the reason for making a film, as opposed to, you know, just going and watching a documentary or reading a book. And so, you know, talking to people who knew him, finding largely unseen footage that was just him, you know, in a far more mundane setting, just having ordinary conversations, those all helped sort of find the man, as you say, behind the iconography.
It is unacceptable that they use their power and keep us voiceless. Those that have gone before us say no more.
I first read it in 2007, and so we shot it last year, so that was 7 years. I wasn't cast immediately. I wasn't attached until 2010, but I just knew that this film, this role, this man was going to figure in my life, and so I started that preparation then, and thankfully, you know, those 7 years of hard work have now paid off.
Well, one of the most charismatic things about Martin Luther King is, of course, the voice. I wondered how you discovered that and how you settled upon that.
Myself and a wonderful dialect coach I work with by the name of Elizabeth Himmelstein, we went about deconstructing that voice. People have often said to me, "You're British, how on earth could you, you know, get to sound like Dr. King?" I would say that even an American would struggle, because no one spoke like Dr. King. It's such a unique delivery, such a unique voice, such a unique bearing as a man. And so, you know, we basically broke it down. He's from Atlanta, but he also had a huge Boston influence in his accent, Southern Baptist preacher, but was also reacting to his father's style of preaching, an intellectual, loved big words. You know, you put all these things together, then throw them away so you don't sound like you're mimicking him. And so that's basically what I had to do.
You reunite with director Ava Duvernay for the film, with whom you worked on Middle of Nowhere, that film. What did she bring to this project, do you think?
I think in order for this film to work, you had to feel like you were understanding the man beyond the leader. And she is so good at humanity. She is so good at emotion. She is so good at the moments between the lines. She is so good at really looking at relationships as well. And through this film, even though you see the Selma March, you see the campaign, you see King locking heads with LBJ, but you also see him with his wife, you see him interacting with his kids and his friends. Those all inform who he actually was.
And you filmed on location in Selma and Montgomery in Alabama, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
And did shooting on location in the actual places sort of further immerse you and the rest of the cast in the drama that you were reenacting?
More often than not, when you make films, especially when they're set in a specific place, due to tax breaks or whatever it is, you have a film set in New York and you're shooting it in Vancouver, you know, so you're having to really make-believe in a sense. Whereas with this, to actually shoot the film in some of the exact same places those events took place with some of the people who were there on the day, because they're in their 70s now, but they insisted on being with us because it's a very cathartic experience for them. Really, you know, it's just about being present in those moments. Acting goes out of the window, it's just about being.
What happens when a man stands up, says enough is enough?
This revolution goes on and on.